Hello, friends, and welcome to the new episode of r/Tales from Retail. Today we have 3 news stories. The first is about an annoying lady that tried to eat for free and leave. Second one's about a guy who didn't want to leave without his pre-ordered Wii game console. Third story about a situation at the video game store that didn't end well. Rude lady thinks she can eat for free and leave. Now banned from our store. There's a lady who will come into our store usually around noon with 4 annoying and loud misbehaving children. Of course, she's completely oblivious to all this. Yay. She would pack all of them into the cart, pick out some sort of produce, apples, bananas, oranges, etc., and give it to them to hold. And the kids would eat all of it. Then she'd come up to the register and give me the whole, oops, sorry, I didn't even see they did that. I'd call my manager and basically ask, what am I supposed to weigh? Usually they would either get the same amount of whatever produce and she would complain that she'd not gotten that much, or mine were way smaller, so my manager would just wave it off and let it go. Today, she didn't get away with it because my manager and I were in a bad mood. I was quietly working at my register when I heard the parade of obnoxious children run into the store with the lady on her phone completely ignoring them. Shocker. She piled all of them into the cart and headed straight for the produce. I continued working at my register and lost track of her until she came up to my register. She huffed and puffed at the little old lady in front of her writing a check while all of her children were screaming in her cart. She's still on the phone, and I hear rude lady talking semi-quietly on her phone saying, "Yeah, I'll be home soon. There's this slow-butted hag in front of me." Thankfully, the little old lady, who's literally maybe the nicest person I've ever met, doesn't hear that well, so she missed that comment. After hearing that, I purposefully take my sweet time processing her check and asking how her grandchildren are doing. I finish bagging her groceries, then set them in her cart. As she's pulling away, the rude lady decides she's not going fast enough and actually pushes her out of the way with her cart. When the little old lady turns to look at her, she smiles smugly and says, "Oh, sorry." The little old lady frowned and walked away. This is where the real fun begins. Before she says anything, I notice that each child has a banana peel in their lap, and the youngest has banana all over their face. There's even a peel inside her purse. Rude lady, and my kids ate these. Here. She proceeds to grab and dump all the peels onto my register and starts to leave. Me, "Ma'am, I need some sort of payment. You can't just leave after eating all these." She turns and glares at me, backs up a little, and says, "Just weigh the peels or something. I don't have time for this." I glare back at her. Even if I was allowed to do that, I'd need all of the peels. I gesture to the one in her purse, and she throws it at me. "Here's your peel. Now weigh them." Her face is getting angrier by the minute. "I'll have to call for the manager," I say. That's when I notice the organic sticker on all of the peels, which means it'll be more expensive. $1.29 a pound, in fact. She slams her hand on my register as I'm about to call. "This is ridiculous. Just weigh my hand or something." As she's pressing her hand down, she's also squeezing the peels as hard as she can, making a huge mess of peel and banana mush. I've had it. "Manager to the front, please." The manager, thankfully, was not far and came rushing up. "Hey, what can I do for you?" He sees it, this particular lady, and the mess on my register. Before he can open his mouth, she begins to wail. "Your cashier has been so rude to my family, and we want to just pay for our bananas and go. She's being incredibly difficult and even made this disgusting mess." I'm fuming at this point. My manager's getting a little ticked off, knowing that this lady is a liar because I'd never do something like that. Rude lady, "What are you going to do about this?" I turn to my manager and say, her and her children ate an entire bunch of bananas, tried to leave without paying for them, and when I called her out on it, she told me to weigh her hand and squish these peels. The manager nodded. I continued. "Go ahead, weigh her hand. Whatever it comes out to, she can pay that." Then she's no longer welcome in our store. Of course, she's shocked and stammering, trying to claim that I lied about the entire story, and it was nothing like that. Obviously, my manager was having none of it, and I told her to put her banana-covered hand back on the scale. She did, and pressed as hard as she could. Well, she's not too smart and forgot how scales work. She pressed it down, and it came up to about 30 pounds. I said, "Okay, your total is $38.54. Will that be cash or card?" She was completely outraged and started yelling at my manager and calling us crooks. Ironic. She also said that she'd never pay something so ridiculous. My manager threatened to call the police and report her for theft if she didn't. She screamed some more, threw two 20s at me. I gave her change, which she snatched out of my hand, and continued to scream and curse down to the exit and out the door. Let's move to our second story. I'm not leaving here without the Wii. Yes, you are. I work in a store selling DVDs, CDs, games, vinyl, and a bunch of other entertainment-related stuff. This story took place the day after the launch of the Nintendo Wii. Our store had guaranteed that if you had pre-ordered a Wii by a certain date, then you'd get one. If you'd not pre-ordered, then it was first come, first served for the remaining stock. No one was able to place an order or reserve one after the release day, as we couldn't guarantee when we would get stock back in. The day after the release, we just opened and I was standing by the entrance of the door to greet customers when this big, angry-looking guy comes charging through the door straight up to me. Do you have any Nintendo Wiis in stock? Me. Hi, I'm sorry, we sold out of the stock we had yesterday. On hearing this, the customer stamped his foot and slammed his shopping bags against his side. I knew at that point drama was about to unfold. Customer. Right, well, I want to pre-order one. Me. I'm sorry, we can no longer take pre-orders as it's now after release day, and we're unable to take orders as we can't guarantee when we'll receive stock back since this product is in such high demand. That's a lie! What? You're lying to me! I was in here 2 weeks ago and was told if I pre-ordered, I was guaranteed one on the day of release. At this point, I'm thinking, maybe I've misunderstood and he has in fact pre-ordered, so I make an attempt at clarifying. Oh, are you here to collect a pre-order? Do you have your order slip and receipt? Customer. No, I don't have a slip. You should have one for me because I inquired about wanting one weeks ago. Either give me one now or order one for me. My son wants one. That's not how this works, unfortunately. We only pre-order with deposit, and if you've not paid a deposit, then we don't have a pre-order for you. I can't order you one either as our system won't let us. This is ridiculous. Get me a manager right now as you're obviously incapable of sorting this mess out. I'm not leaving here without the Wii. As angry as this guy already was, he was about to get even angrier as I now had to inform him that I was, in fact, the manager on duty and the only one around. I was a supervisor who did opening and closing. Supervisors were designated managers on duty when there were no real grown-ups around. The guy flipped out, pointed his finger in my face, called me a liar, told me there's no way some little girl was a manager. Just as I started to worry this guy was about to physically assault me, something wonderful happened. I felt something brush over the top of my shoulder from behind, and suddenly the customer's face dropped, and he was being dragged towards the door. Unbeknownst to me, our security guard had come on shift and was just entering the shop floor when he heard a customer screaming at me. He walked straight up from behind me, grabbed the guy by the back of his neck, and dragged him outside backwards, telling him, "You're done." Once outside, the guy stood on the other side of the security guard, practically foaming at the mouth with rage for a good minute before turning and storming out of sight. So, my friends, it's good to know he had security there, right? Let's move to our third story. When "do you know who I am" goes terribly wrong. So a few years ago, I worked at a used video game store. I was behind the counter doing morning inventory when a teenager came in. The teenager will be TC, I will be me. TC. Hey, I ordered a copy of insert name of game last week. Is it in yet? Me. Let me check for you. Do you have an ID? So I check his ID. He's only 16. The game he pre-ordered was rated M, so I couldn't sell it to him. Sorry, buddy. Looks like this game's rated M. I can't sell it to you because you're under the age of 18. Is one of your parents in the car? No, I paid for the game. I want it. Look, believe me, there's nothing I want more than to give it to you. You're right, you paid for it. Company policy, though, restricts me from selling it to you. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my father is? Buddy, I'm on your side. I want to sell the game to you, but my hands are tied. Just come in with your parents or a big brother or even an older friend. I can give it to you then. Enjoy the unemployment line. So he exits, and I think nothing more of it. This happens probably once a week. So the next day, my boss calls me and asks to meet me at the coffee shop next door before my shift. He commonly does this to go over monthly numbers. Manager. Thanks for meeting me. Me. Sure thing. Manager. Yesterday, did you have a kid come in asking to purchase a game that he pre-ordered? Me. Sure did. He was underage, so I didn't sell it to him. Then I go over the conversation with my boss. Manager. I know you followed policy, but that kid's father is a well-respected businessman in the area. The boy's father called my boss's boss, which in turn called me. I'm sorry, I have to let you go. Me. Are you serious? For following company policy? Manager. Yeah, it sucks, but the father is influential in town, and he suggested we let you go, and here I am. But you get 2 weeks severance. Don't worry about your shift today, I'm covering for you. I'll need your keys and your badge. Just like that, I was unemployed. All because I followed corporate policy. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked this video. I'll see you in the next one.